Welcome back to the channel. So today is just going to be kind of a follow-up from the last video that I made. I kind of covered my first day on Concerta, and gave my kind of initial opinions and reactions to my first day. So it's probably been about, like 3 months or so.
Seems about right.
Yeah, since my last video. So I've got to spend a little more time with the medication. My dose has changed a couple times, so I'm just gonna kind of give you an update. And as you noticed, I'm joined here by a very lovely lady. So this is my wife, Tammy, and she's going to kind of give an outsider's perspective on changes she's noticed since I've started my meds.
Yeah, I am. An insider's outside.
Yeah, insider's outsider's perspective. But I think it's also good because, I can obviously feel the difference, but then I'm not too sure if it's apparent to other people, because they're not feeling what I'm feeling, but I just kind of want to know what my behavior's been like since I started the med. I feel less overwhelmed. Cat number one. So my dosage has gone up twice. When I made that video, I think I was at 18 milligrams. Then I went up to 36, which was great. I didn't notice any nasty side effects. I was still able to sleep. And it definitely, I noticed an improvement in my concentration. But then kind of, over the course of a month or so, I just felt like it wasn't quite working, or I didn't quite feel the effects as much as I did. So I did go up to 54 milligrams, and it was kind of suggested by my psychiatrist as well. He said 36 is quite a low dose for an adult. So he said we should definitely try out a different dose. Yeah, so what I've noticed is I definitely feel less overwhelmed, at work, and that there's days where I just I wouldn't even know where to start my day. I just was thinking, well, I got to do this, I got to do that, and I was just really squirreling for the entire day. So I'm sure a lot of you can relate. Now it's just I'm going to start here, do what I can today. If not, it's going to be there waiting for me tomorrow, and I'm just a little more okay with that.
I guess I can speak to the squirreling. I feel like that's improved a little bit.
Yeah.
It's probably more of an internal thing than an external thing, but I have, even just the way you speak about stuff sometimes, I can just tell that it's a little bbit calmer.
Yeah.
You're a little more focused.
Yeah. Sometimes I know I'd come home and I would just be I'd be at a 10. I'd just be if I had a rough day, I was just so overwhelmed that Tammy would just be you should probably just go and have a meditate right now. And I feel like that's happened way less often.
Yeah. And to be fair, I am the chatty Cathy of the two of us. Uh-huh. And so when he comes home, I have to tell him about all the animals I saw that day.
That's right. Which one she talked to.
And that's historically been a lot for him, and I get it because I'm a mile a minute sometimes. And he has to come home and process his day, and just to be bombarded with verbal diarrhea was something he wasn't really prepared for. And so yeah, I think you're right. Now that you've mentioned it, I don't think that I've noticed me noticing him being up to here. Mm-hmm.
I think it's really helped me socially too, just because most days, even at work, for example, I would kind of go in, do my job, talk to people as needed, but now I'm just kind of more social. I'm more likely to kind of strike up a conversation, a casual conversation, and get into it a bit with people. And one interesting thing I've noticed is I'm a lot more comfortable with eye contact now. I I didn't really notice, like I knew it wasn't my favorite thing, like eye contact kind of bothered me if it was for too long of a period of time, but it's weird now. I just feel like maybe I'm just more able to engage in a conversation, but I can make eye contact and not feel uncomfortable for extended periods of time, so that's also interesting. From the last video, I kind of stick with my initial reaction, you know, to being on Concerta. When I'm out in public, in a busy place, it's less overwhelming, and it seems quieter, and I'm not, you know, drawn in all different directions. What needs to get in, I can focus on, but I'm able to just filter out all the things that were making me anxious.
I mean, it's so sad because we really haven't done a lot of social things together lately, but I can't remember if you talked about this in your last video, but a couple of friends of ours go to the same gym as Doug.
No, I didn't mention that.
Oh, I work with our one friend, and she told me like, oh yeah, we noticed that Doug has really been more social lately. Like her husband usually seeks out to find Doug and have conversations with him, but she said he's been coming to find us, and like you love those two.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So it's not
awesome.
like he's avoiding them. She just said, you know, he seems a lot happier in general too.
Yeah, that's another thing I didn't mention, but I definitely feel like my mood is just improved. I have more of a, I think, overall positive attitude towards things. Yeah, and less anxious. Even things like, 'cause I play music. I play music with some fellas in a band, and I played drums, and we would come to practice, and sometimes, even though I love it, I would get anxious about playing, and I'd be like, I want to do a good job. I want to get this song down. I want to play it perfect. So I tend to be a bit of a perfectionist, but now I just look forward to it, just spending time with the guys and jamming and doing something I love. But also I do think the meds have helped my playing. I'm just kind of more in the zone. I mess up less. I'm less distracted. I can make those split-second decisions about what I want to do next, which you kind of need to when you're playing drums. So yeah, it's had a lot of positive effects for sure.
I've noticed myself that you have been happier too. It's been really nice to see because you have a history of anxiety. So it's nice to see that it's like lifted a little bit, like you just seem a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
Not a little bit, like a noticeable amount.
Yeah.
So it's nice from a wifey's perspective to see you happier. And yeah, just anxiety is anxiety. It's something that you're probably likely gonna have to deal with your whole life. But even like just thinking back to when we first met 10 years ago, you were way different. Your sleeping is better, which is huge. I just remember back in the day, any tiny crack of light, any tiny noise, and you'd be awake. And it was all night. Like you would probably get maybe 4 hours of solid sleep if I had to estimate.
Wow.
And that is like night and day. You've done a lot of work with meditation also in there and that kind of thing. But you can edit this out if you want. But I think some of that anxiety has also translated to health anxiety, which you have been through a lot health-wise, so it's not unwarranted, but especially with medication use and that kind of thing, what I've noticed, anytime you have to take a new medication or you're introducing something new into your routine, it throws you out of whack. And any kind of side effect, your body is just like, what is this?
Yeah, it just kind of amplifies it.
Yeah. And so I was kind of shocked when you said you wanted to try meds for this. And I was also so shocked at how little you complain about side effects. And like sleeping has always been, anytime there's a new med introduced or supplement or something like that, it's like, boom, sleeping. I can't sleep from this. That's one of the first place your mind goes to. And this is like, maybe you have complained about that a couple times in the beginning or when you're changing your dose.
Yeah, when I up the dose, but I think that's pretty normal. Yeah, that's why I was like, I wanted to seek out this diagnosis because it just, from the research I did, I was just like, that sounds so much like me. I really want to know if that's kind of why I'm struggling with all these things. And I was like, I'll try the medication if I get the diagnosis, but for the exact reason that you just said, I'm typically very sensitive to side effects. So like a stimulant, like goodbye to sleep, but then it really wasn't bad. So yeah, I'm really thankful for that.
I was just gonna say, I'm really thankful that it's been such a good experience for you, because I think that it has really brought so much to your life, along with other things that you're doing too, because...
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to get into, is, medication has made a huge difference, but I'm not a meds pusher by any means, and they're not for everyone. Even still being on my medication, if I'm not getting enough sleep, if I'm unable, or if my diet isn't, if I don't keep my diet clean, I won't be able to be as sharp, I won't be able to think as straight, I'm a little foggy, so diet has a huge thing to do with it. And exercise, like if I can't exercise, I'm not myself. I need to get the blood flowing, get those endorphins. That really helps me focus. A good cardio session will kind of center me. Yeah, meds aren't everything, but they're a big part of it. There's a lot of people out there who just, they control their ADHD or, whatever kind of neurodivergence they're dealing with just by lifestyle, exercise, diet, sleep, meditation.
Yeah, and like you said, we're not a household that pushes medication use and that's all you have to do. It's gonna cure your ADHD. Like, there's still a lot of work to do, organizational wise.
Organization.
And I mean, I'm the same way. We are both kind of cut from the same cloth in some ways, but
yeah, I see a few ADHD tendencies in my wife too. In some respects, we're like an awful match. Like two people, they're chronically late.
Oh my gosh.
Somewhat, you're probably more organized than I am in some respects. I need to be organized for work, but that's just that, or I would drown. We're not maybe the tidiest people. We're kind of in
we live comfortably.
Yeah, it's not dirty, but it gets cluttered quick.
Yeah, it's not high on my list of priorities.
No, it's like organized chaos.
I don't think it's that bad.
No? Maybe not chaos.
No.
I don't know.
I mean, we could, yeah. I am the same way where I'm really organized. I'm organized at work. But when it comes to my home life,
yeah,
I'm a procrastinator.
Oh, well, that's because there's no deadlines and there's no urgency. It's kind of do it at your own pace, but then we get too comfortable.
That is something, because once you mentioned to me that you saw some traits in me, I did read more about it, and thriving on procrastination is
because you need that adrenaline, dopamine rush from exactly procrastination. That deadline's coming up soon. I gotta get this done.
Yeah.
You kind of need that drive, and you kind of, like I mentioned in my last video, chronically late. I'm always leaving late, arriving late, and then what else was I gonna say about you? Tammy's a little different with her time blindness, but she kind of underestimates how long tasks are gonna take, and will schedule way too much in a day. She could tell me about her day and I'd be like, okay, and think in my head, there's no fucking way she is going to do all that in one day. That is a week's worth of things. But she won't know. She'll be like,
No.
yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm like, those are on opposite sides of the city. Each is going to take 5 hours, you know.
Yeah, I have a lot of good intentions and a craft cupboard where projects go to die.
Yeah.
But anyway, there are a lot of things besides med taking that we can both use and we need to for organization. And I think that as the years have gone by, I've adapted and like figured some things out. I'm not saying that I have ADHD because I really don't know, but
it may or may not run in her family. Oh, just maybe any little side effects that I have noticed, which still aren't bad for me, but on this higher dose, it's less now, but when I first started it, I was kind of getting some headaches in the afternoon. I wouldn't really get, if I watch my caffeine intake, I don't get very jittery, but I think sometimes in the evenings there's a bit of a crash when it wears off. I'm just kind of done, like I'm not very talkative and maybe a little irritable, but nothing. Well, from my perspective, nothing that's not manageable, but
no,
yeah,
it's not bad. I think because you're an eternal person anyway, like a lot of that stuff, I don't know what's happening.
But I mean, typically it wears off by evening. If there's something, for some reason I need to be more focused in the evening, or if I'm going out and doing something and want to be engaging more with people around me, I'll just take the med later in the day. I'll take it in the afternoon and it lasts through the evening, and that seems to be working fine.
And even then you've still been able to sleep.
Yeah. But what is like the biggest cat you've ever met? His name's Dwight. Yeah, the biggest change you've noticed in me, or like...
Probably the mood, I would say. Like, just your level of happiness, I would say. I think your ability to deal with stress, especially this time of year for you, is usually pretty high anxiety, high stress time, because it's the end of the year for anybody working in the school system is, it's a lot. And I don't think you've been as stressed out this year. Maybe a little bit. I can notice it, but it's not like it has been in years past.
I also attribute some of it to just the diagnosis itself, because I've been able to cut myself a little more slack when I do mess up or get overwhelmed or find something difficult. I understand now, because it used to be more really negative internal talk. I'm like, I'm just stupid. Like, I'm not as good as other people. Why can other people do this? Well, my brain doesn't work like other people. That's why. It's and I do think that taking a med kind of helps even the playing field for me, right? I do feel like I can function a little more, closer to, what's the word I'm looking for? I can function.
Good.
I'm a speech and language expert. If we haven't mentioned this already, I am a expert in communication disorders, and I think I have one right now. The meds make me feel like I can function close to or the same as everyone else can.
Yeah.
Give or take.
That makes sense.
Okay, well, I think that's about enough for today. Unless you can think of anything else.
No, I'm just really happy that what has come from this has been so positive. And it's nice to see you managing so well and
thank you.
Coming into a new version of Doug.
And thank you for being supportive and understanding that this is just something I needed to do and needed to investigate. It's a long process. It was, really took months, right? So
yeah, I got to talk some smack to you about you.
yeah,
she was a psychologist.
Talk to my psychologist, fill out some questionnaires. And she was just happy to check off those boxes, right? Forgetful, slow. True. I told her just be brutally honest, because that's what we need. So
yeah.
Not like I was unaware.
No.
Okay. Anyhow, we don't want to ramble. That's kind of been my update. 3 months on Concerta. Been really positive so far. I'm planning to do my next video. I'm just going to have another discussion with a friend who's been, another person close to my age who has also been recently diagnosed with ADHD and started taking Concerta, so we can kind of, compare notes, go back and forth, because I know it's been a really positive experience for him as well. So anyhow, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.